Morning. It is so wonderful to be here and be in this spirit, the spirit of this place. I've heard of Epworth United Methodist Church in Oklahoma City for many years. I'd seen the building once before when I passed through and was visiting Monica. I couldn't quite remember when that was, and I might have been driving to the Fort Worth General Conference. The van was loaded from Chicago to Oklahoma City. It's lovely to see friends and family. I feel like your family here also. Many of us have been in this work for a long time. I was one of the original volunteers in 1995 when we started signing individual cards and collected those in the office. A woman, I don't know if anybody here would remember this name, but I do. Leslie Penrose from Tulsa was doing the work actively then. So I've been in this a long time, and I've known there are wonderful, faithful, welcoming United Methodists in Oklahoma my whole time with this. It's fun to sing these songs. They're so familiar. Thank you for the planning that goes into that. Does anybody else, when you hear a hymn, it takes you somewhere else where you've sung it before? We sang this hymn at my grandmother's funeral, or we sang this hymn in this particular place in time. And the whole hymn book starts to look like that. If you've ever been to a workshop that I lead, you know that I think all of these songs were written for gay people. So when you sing these songs, any of them, when I sing them, they're written for lesbian people. I don't have time now, but if you're here this afternoon, we might sing a round of the Hymn of Promise. We love that. And one of my friends on the board, maybe when you were on the board also, taught us that's her favorite transgender hymn in the United Methodist Book of Songs. So thank you for all of that. I mentioned that to kind of sneak up on you with the Love Prevails. Love Prevails is born out of the understanding of folks that have been in this for a long, long time. And now we need another part of the push. We've loved seeing our logo all over the place. We know for certain, when we were picking a logo, we're trying to decide that not too very long ago, we just knew it had to be a rainbow. We just knew it had to have that, and I think it worked out, and it's looking lovely in all of these places. A few years ago, Reverend Amy DeLong, maybe you knew the news then, was facing a church trial in Wisconsin because she'd been unappointable for about 8 years and didn't have a church, but she didn't want to just disappear like so many of our people do. And she thought, well, as a United Methodist elder, I don't know what's going to happen, but on her end of the year report that you send in, she had signed up in a domestic partner registry in Osceola, Wisconsin. It had no legal status, but it was a place to be registered. And instead of leaving it off of that report that year on the personal items part of it, she wrote it down. And she had done a wedding for, not a legal wedding yet in Wisconsin, but a blessing, a holy union, the language we were using then, and for a couple there. And instead of leaving it off of the report, she wrote it on the report. And instead of just kind of disappearing many, many times through the preparation for the trial, when they invited us to miss deadlines and just have it go away quietly, we didn't let them miss deadlines. And we were there. And the name of the group of support and then a website was Love on Trial. This name, Love Prevails, I'm going to invite you anytime you just feel like it, to just yell out Love Prevails. Any moment in the morning, just yell out Love Prevails, because we think it's an inspired name. A little bit because we didn't really pick it. A little bit because we were just getting that email list group together before the Tampa General Conference. We weren't anywhere official yet, but we knew we couldn't just keep using the Love on Trial name, but we still wanted to have something similar, that we might use that website. We just didn't know. But you all have been in those groups. It's like, I don't know, put this. So our e-list was called Love Prevails. And while we were at Tampa, witnessing with rainbows, because we just didn't leave them off, and we always had rainbows with us. is just so frightening to the church. And now last week with the Council of Bishops, and I thought, you know, my people need a place to have communion where they know they're safe. What have I got? I had this in my bag, and I could grab this and put this on and be scary and in their face so that people could be safe for communion. Love prevails. They're catching on. With these dancers here, I thought this just might get out of control, and I'll be sorry. So with Love Prevails, we continue to tell stories. We came this week to the Council of Bishops. Just 2 people were at the Council of Bishops last year in November, and it was disruptive to them just because we're around. And it's disruptive because we will not stop saying the names of gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, intersex, all of the continuum. We know that God's love is big enough for all of that, and we just keep bringing it up when they don't want to hear it. Love prevails! And it's okay if you laugh at our stuff once in a while because we have no staff or no budget, so we make signs. You may be tempted to think that people in Northern Illinois, when I live, are just so much better than the people of Oklahoma, and I ask you not to think that. But this is a little sign I made to go to a Northern Illinois event. It's okay to laugh. I have my markers and my poster board, and some of you will recognize some of these. This is a Reconciling Congregation button from the 80s. This is Open the Doors in Denver. That's when I knew Lester Penrose. This is Why Does God's Welcome in the Cleveland General Conference. This was a beautiful Remember Your Baptism campaign in 2004, 10 years ago in Pittsburgh. Anybody remember that? Watermark, Spirit Born? There's some banners around here with stuff like that. Yeah. And in Fort Worth, now that was close, so maybe some of you got down to Fort Worth. All means all in one family tree. And so we were in Tampa. Now I had that button. I just drew up my love your neighbor button, but for the Tampa, and we didn't have these yet. But Love Prevails was around. We didn't have a logo yet. We didn't have a button, but it was around at the Tampa General Conference. And people would get mad at us when we're going around insisting that LGBTQI, and when someone else says something else, we're going to add it to the list. We don't have to understand everything before we can be welcoming. And they would be anxious and concerned, and we didn't know them, but now we know what to say. Love prevails. People have been hollering at us at times. They don't want to be convinced. You don't need to convince them. Say love prevails. I'm thankful for the preparation that went into this service, that you got these in your bulletin. We think we're campy when we say we have a 3D vision. We want to get some 3D glasses to wear when we do this. We think we're hilarious, Amy and I. It's not catching on though, Amy. It's just not catching on. And the D's are disclose, divest, and disrupt. And what we're trying to say with disclose is stop being secret in your support. So many times at the Council of Bishops, people want to come to us, although nobody did it to me this time, but we've been after them a little bit. You have more support in the room than you realize. You have more, in April I heard, you have more friends in the room than you realize. So I made a sign about like that said, if they were my friends, I guess I'd know who they are. So disclose is to be public with a welcome, that love will prevail. To divest is to use my money and my time and start moving it away from groups I think are oppressive, like the apportionment paying of the United Methodist Church. You might just divert it because you're committed to apportionment people. You might just divert some over to the campus ministry. It doesn't mean you get to just keep it and throw a party, but you might divert some in our campus ministries that are full of young people, and some of them are LGBTQI, and they would love to get a direct, you know, where $3,000 or $400 in a campus ministry does a lot of good. And so think about that in terms of time and resources. And then the disrupt. And this is the one where people kind of get shook up, but anytime you raise your hand and ask a question, because they're going along in like usual and customary fashion, and you don't agree, if that's all you can do is say, I disagree. disruption. That's a disruption. When we tried to get into the live stream of the panel on human sexuality last Saturday, they wouldn't let us in. What people don't know is there was a live stream in April and everybody was there. Usual and customary, everybody was in there. And I'm reading on the sites of progressive people on Facebook, all this, well, you can't let people into a live stream. We've always been in them before. That's not normal. The closing down of the doors of our church is new. And so even if you can't tell the whole story, you can disrupt by saying, that's not what I heard. And that there's room at the table for everyone. So we thank you for the witness. We thank you for liking us on Facebook. Since these are not paying jobs, we watched the little number, how it goes up. It went up to 2007 yesterday. That's kind of our pay, if you would like us on Facebook, but that's where the news is and we can tell you more. And one last thing I'd like one thing is, it can seem, after all of your work from the grassroots bottom up, that when Love Prevails is present at these hierarchy places, that we're looking for change from the top down. And I hope that you understand there are years and years of grassroots knowledge and understanding in us when we go into the fray at that level. It's not like, if only the bishops would act, then we'll all be all right. It's that we've been trying to do this and trying to do this, and now we've gotten to this place where we're trying to break that wall down. Is it possible? Love prevails. Love prevails.
Love prevails!
Lastly, when I was at that meeting in Northern Illinois, and I was asked to leave the premises, because I had that little, I had a bowl of water saying, remember your baptism. That's scary stuff too, and I was the only one. I was asked to leave because I was a danger to the safe atmosphere for discussion. And I was passing out these papers, and something that's taken on at the North, our bishops writing letters of what clergy can do to get right up to the line, but not cross it. And 20 years in, the reason I made you sit through all that is it's been a long time already. We're not going to let that deter us anymore to say, literally these papers say to their clergy, yes, and they think they're being kind. You can baptize the child of a gay or lesbian couple and welcome the whole, and that is progress for some places. And welcome everybody in, and don't let there be a fight at your church about that, and they're providing some cover for baptism. But what we know from all our years in this, those children grow up, and you teach them about Jesus, and they get to be adults, and they don't want to leave that church. And they have their confirmation, and they have their request to be married, and maybe their ordination there also. So we want equal rights, all of those rights, ordination and marriage included. So this is what I offer that they could what we can do. And all I want you to do is say, love prevails at the end of every one. Now pretend you're a bishop for a moment. We, the oppressors, the majority, the privileged, can treat people as equals. Love prevails. We can let go of our respect for the opinion of prejudice and heterosexism. We don't respect that. Love prevails. We can disobey the prejudices built into the law book. Love prevails. We can open the doors of the church